So, a very logical day to all of you. And here, this is the explanation of the first editorial of the Indian Express of the 19th of September. Let's see what we have here. So, topic of interest. Okay, great. देखें क्या interesting topic है. The reading part will contain, over the years, there has been a growing mismatch between the surplus deficit projected by the Employees Provident Fund organization, that is EPFO, when it announces the yearly interest rate and the actual deficit surplus. There's a discrepancy. Mismatch means a discrepancy between what? What is being projected and what is the actual one. जो दिखाया जाता है और जो actually में है, there is a discrepancy between the two. During years of bigger surpluses, this may not cause financial issues. No problem. ज़्यादा बढ़ा के बताया तो ठीक है. For instance, 2019-20, when the EPFO had announced an interest rate of 8.5%, actual surplus was rupees this much crore, higher than the initial projection of rupees 700 crore. This was on the higher side. However, there is a cause for concern when there is an actual deficit as against the organization's projection of a surplus. प्रॉब्लम ये नहीं कि सरप्लस कितना दिखाया कम दिखाया पर है तो एटलीस्ट सरप्लस वाले एंड पे. प्रॉब्लम तब होगी जब आपने सरप्लस दिखाया लेकिन एक्चुअली में वो डेफिसिट है. दिस इज द पॉइंट. एक्चुअल डेफिसिट है as against the organization's projection of a surplus. This is the word. This is the cause of concern. Right? And we have been seeing central ideas many a times, and I know that a few of you are still facing a problem in identifying the central idea. So understand how to filter out the things. Major point here was that there's a mismatch. So mismatch किसमें होगा? Surplus और इसमें deficit में दिखाने में, right? To how to project what is projected and what is the actual one. There's a discrepancy there. Fine. Now, if you are projecting surplus and there is actually a surplus but a little higher one or little lower one, then you are still on the same side. Problem tab hogi when you are showing or displaying a surplus but actually there's a deficit. तो problem create करेगा, and that is the cause of concern that the author says, right? For example, now he gives you the example. In 21-22, against the projection of a rupees 450 crore surplus, there was actually a deficit of rupees 197.72. सोचो ये डेफिसिट इतना है और सरप्लस इतना दिखाया, तो इन दोनों का जो डिफरेंस होगा वो जीरो से होते हुए फिर 450 तक जाएगा. दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव डन इन योर मैथ्स since your childhood. In July, the finance ministry had flagged the issue of the EPFO slipping into a deficit. What did he say? He flagged the issue. That means उसे mention किया था, उसे important कहा था, या उसने indicate किया था कि देखो ये तो हो रहा है. The EPFO is going towards a deficit, slipping into a deficit. And now, as reported in this paper, the Central Board of Trustees of the EPFO have been instructed not to declare the interest rate beginning from the ongoing financial year without the consent of the finance ministry. ईपीएफओ ने अपने मन से कर दिया, यहाँ पे 8.5 किया था और फिर सरप्लस दिखाया था, लेकिन एक्चुअली में ये है प्रॉब्लम है, ये उसने 21-22 में दिखाया. सो व्हाट द finance ministry says that see you will not mention or declare the interest rate unless you have discussed it with us. That is what the Central Board of Trustees said. And to also examine the high interest rate announced by the organization, right? So they need to examine, they need to discuss, they need to get the consent. Only then the percentage interest rate has to be declared. So declare कब करेंगे वो? With after the consent of the finance minister, and they will also examine the high interest rates announced by them. So that means इतनी जल्दी उन्हें rates declare नहीं करने हैं, सोच समझ के करने हैं along with the consent of the finance minister, right? So that this mismatch doesn't happen. In the past too, there has often been criticism of the EPFO announcing high interest rates that is not considered to be in line with the prevailing market scenario. Market में rates अगर चलते हैं 5.5, 5.6, 5.76 और यहाँ पे दे रहे हैं हम 8.5, so it is not according to the market also, and then the problem arises. For instance, again, the author is coming up with an example. Now you can understand the structure of the passage also. Author is stating a point and then exemplifying it. That is reasoning, right? Here it is. For 2020-21, it had recommended an interest rate of 8.5%, when in comparison, the 10-year GSEC yields had fallen to 6.23%. And the SBI was offering 5.4% on 5 to 10-year deposits. So ये rates चल रहे थे और इसने करा 8.5. So there's a discrepancy here again. As a sizable share of the funds with the organization are allocated towards government or debt securities, paying its contributing members a higher rate, the 10-year GSEC yield is currently hovering around 7.1%. This would entail investing in higher interest yielding bonds और increasing the allocation towards equities. ये पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है? क्योंकि ये गवर्नमेंट है तो वो बॉन्ड्स में जा रहा है, तो बॉन्ड्स को भी उतना रेट उतना इंटरेस्ट करना पड़ेगा. This shift in portfolio allocation would involve a change in the risk reward profile. कितना risk और कितना reward of the investments, right? So EPFO is a kind of investment only, right? It is allocated towards government or debt securities. Now those the funds that are collected in the EPFO, ठीक है, हम 8.5% हमें मिल जाएगा EPFO में, लेकिन ये funds जो मिले ये जाएंगे कहाँ पे? गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज और इन सारी चीजों में जाएंगे. They will have to again alternatively they will have to give that much more interest rate, right? Which the EPFO can then give it to the investors. जो कंट्रीब्यूटिंग पीपल हैं उनको. तो ये जो प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हो रहा है कि तुमने 8.5 कहा और मार्केट का रेट तो कुछ और चल रहा है, दैट इज अ डिस्क्रिपेंसी और दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम कॉस्ट, right? And this requires, because of this problem, it requires serious consideration. सोच समझ के कुछ बोलना पड़ेगा. So the EPFOs pass investments in higher yielding securities of companies such as ILNFS, Diwan Housing Finance Corporation, and Reliance Capital only highlight the risk this poses and the need for carefully assessing the such options, right? So this becomes your main point. First paragraph में main point क्या था? That there's a discrepancy. Second paragraph में क्या हो गया? It is describing why the discrepancy is there in the interest rates. What is happening is given here, and hence coming to carefully examining of all this and the need for carefully assessing उसने दे दिया है such options. This is highlighted कि क्योंकि discrepancy हो रही है, क्योंकि government को आगे problem हो रही है, because there is a discrepancy or there is a difference in the interest rates also given by the EPFO, declared by EPFO, and that of the RBI or the banks, then it is giving rise to this problem, and hence careful examining is necessary, right? So यहाँ तक अगर हमने डिस्कस कर लिया तो यहाँ तक अभी ये सेंट्रल आइडिया हो जाता है, the 2 points that we said. Considering that the employees provident fund forms an integral part of the social security from framework in the country, it must adopt a cautious approach. Again, the same thing has been mentioned, that you have to be very careful in declaring this, even though its contributing members will be desirous of higher rates. So definitely जिसको 8.5% मिलेगा तो वो खुश हो जाएगा, लेकिन क्या वो beneficial है गवर्नमेंट के point of view से? That is what is to be seen. And understandably so, it must carefully assess the risk reward matrix of its investment portfolio, taking care to minimize the risk as it pursues greater returns, while also aligning the interest rate with the broader market realities. दो काम करने पड़ेंगे, right? Care to minimize the risk so that you can get a greater return, and second, you're aligning the interest rate with the broader market realities. Alongside, the EPFO must not only be more careful, देखो, this is the third or fourth time that it is mentioned that they have to be careful. So not only careful in its assessment of its obligations, it should also be more transparent कि क्या काम हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है, वो भी करना पड़ेगा उन्हें. Transparency आजकल government systems में होनी चाहिए. This is what usually given in the passages. about its operations by releasing regular updates of its portfolio and investment decisions. That means it has to be transparent. It has to come up with very careful assessment of all that. इन्वेस्टर्स को भी ये असेस करना चाहिए कि कहाँ पे रिस्क रिटर्न्स और ये सब है अच्छे से. So you have 2 or 3 paragraphs and you have 2 3 pointers. Let us see the main point. Carefully assess आ गया. Obligations, be more transparent, ये आ गया, about its investment decision. So that is what. And there was one more point that was to be said, that there was a discrepancy if we go only according to the central idea. But those things that we discussed, right, there would be a conclusion from the first. So whatever the main point was, जो तुम उसमें से समझ सकते हो, वो तुम्हारा first part का conclusion हो जाएगा. Second में से भी I have given you the conclusion so that you are able to identify the main point there or the opinion of the author, because conclusion is what? The opinion, the point of view of the author in that particular part. And then overall give the main argument, that will be the overall thing. Coming to the tone and style today, patronizing tone. So, patronizing, you have done this word with the word of, say, condescending, humiliating, demeaning, belittling. बहुत सारे words हमारे पास होते हैं patronizing के लिए. Similar, derogatory हो सकता है, deprecating हो सकता है. If I write these words, patronizing, there's a slight difference in these words. I'll just discuss. Derogatory, deprecating, and then humiliating, insulting, right? So patronizing would also mean condescending. Now the difference is, ये सब मीनिंग्स है ना, सिनोनिम्स बोल सकते हो आप, सिमिलर वर्ड्स बोल सकते हो, ये सारे तो मीनिंग्स हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है. पेट्रोनाइजिंग का मतलब होता है, देखो मैं तो सुपीरियर हूं, जब मैं तुम्हें ऐसा महसूस कराऊंगी कि सी आई एम सुपीरियर, so you will have to listen to what I'm saying. Right. So, in a very high-handed manner, in a very imperialistic manner, I would say that, see, you have to do what I say. तो ये patronizing है, मतलब ये तुम्हें ना you will feel कि कोई भी बोलेगा, not it is not about you and me. It's about, see, mean I am superior, so automatically you are inferior. Condescending and derogatory and deprecating and humiliating and insulting would mean what? That, see, you are not up to the mark. So you are inferior. Automatically, implied meaning means I am superior. Just the other side of the coin, therefore the meanings are still the same. Patronizing is to show dominance. मतलब मैं outwardly जाके हम बोलेंगे, देखो मैं बढ़िया हूँ, बिल्कुल, I am better than you. ऐसा बोलेंगे. तो जब ऐसा बोलेंगे, that shows dominance or superiority. Air of condescension means that you are inferior, so you have that focus there. That is, you are not up to the mark. Lack of respect for others, same thing. If I do not respect somebody, they see, this is not a work that you should have done in this manner. That means I could do it better. So when I say I could do it better and you are not doing it well, that means it's a condescending tone. तुमसे ना हो पाएगा, तुम नहीं कर सकोगे अच्छे से, मतलब ये inferior महसूस करना है कि why am I not able to do? What do you think? ऐसा. So it is a lack of respect, it is condescension, superiority दिखाएगा, dominance दिखाएगा. Then it is patronizing. Examples given. You're not even worth my thought. मतलब मैं तुम्हें क्यों याद करूं? अब मैं तुम्हें क्यों याद करूं ऐसा कोई बोलेगा, मतलब तो आपकी इंसल्ट हो गई. अब इंसल्ट हो गई मतलब that person doesn't have time enough to even think about you. So insulting, humiliating and patronizing. I'm sure I'm the only person who can help you. मैं ही मैं हूं, मतलब मैं से मदद लोगे तो ही ठीक रहेगा, ऐसा. ठीक है. So I'm the only person who can help you, so it is a patronizing one. Help you in what? In getting out of this mess. Yes, helping you in cracking your CR. ठीक है. So when I'm not saying it in that patronizing manner, I'm only saying it like, see, try understanding this so that I am able to help you. So here we have the tone, we have the example, and that's all for today. So thank you and stay logical and have a very logical weekend ahead.